So sometimes you want to store multiple pieces of information, and you may be thinking, well, how do I do that? Maybe you want to store multiple information pieces of information about multiple things. So, for example, here I have an array of numbers, which is 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. Perhaps I want to store the name of the movie that's associated with them. So if these are the episodes in Star Wars, then episode 4, I would want to store A New Hope as the name. And episode 5, I would want to store The Empire Strikes Back, etc., etc. One of the ways you can do that is with a parallel array. So what a parallel array means is that you keep your information in the same position in every single array. So in other words, position 0 holds 4 in the numbers array. Position 0 holds A New Hope because A New Hope is associated with the number 4. The Empire Strikes Back would be in the 1 position, and that is associated with the 5 because the 5 is also in the 1 position of this array. So, in other words, because the positions of the arrays line up, you can use the positioning where it sits in the array to figure out extra information about it. So now I know that if I go to the last position, Revenge of the Sith, the last position of the names array is going to correspond with the last position of the numbers array, meaning 3 corresponds with Revenge of the Sith. And we could keep storing additional information this way. So I could say, let has stormtroopers equal, and then A New Hope does have stormtroopers, so we'd store true. The Empire Strikes Back does, so we'd store true. Um, wow, I'm blanking. Return of the Jedi does, so we'd store true. Um, The Phantom Menace does not, so we'd store false. Attack of the Clones does not, so we'd store false. You could debate with me on whether or not the clones count as stormtroopers in Revenge of the Sith, but we're going to store false just for the sake of simplicity. So now, if I look through my 3 parallel arrays, I am now storing 3 pieces of information about a single movie. So, for example, A New Hope, I now know is episode 4, and it has stormtroopers. The Empire Strikes Back is blah, blah. The Empire Strikes Back is episode 5, and it also has stormtroopers. And because all of the arrays are in the same positioning, because all the information is organized in the exact same order, we call these parallel arrays. There's a small weakness with parallel arrays, and that is that they're not actually glued together. So, for example, if I were to uncomment this bubble sort that we just built, um, and I were to sort numbers, suddenly this would now be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now it would be saying that A New Hope is episode 1 and that it has stormtroopers. Um, and so now our information is broken and worthless. Broken information is worthless. So um, what we'd want to do is if we sort one of these arrays, we'd want to sort all of the arrays. And that can be a pain. And so we're not going to cover that at this point in time. You would just take this same logic and you would expand on it. And if you want to do that, go ahead and ask ChatGPT how to expand the bubble sort logic to do 3 arrays. But there are much better sorting methods, and we'll learn those in a minute. But for now, I would just want you to know that if you want to store multiple pieces of information and you need them all to stay associated, one thing you could do is you could use parallel arrays and store the information parallel to another array. All right, thanks for watching.